It's Spoilerin time, folks. If you're not familiar with Cordkillers, go check it out. It's where Brian and I talk about all the ways to get good content, good fun stuff to watch. This is the show where we talk about the stuff we watched. This week, we're going to talk about Succession, Season 4, Episode 7, Silo, Season 1, Episodes 1 and 2, and Ted Lasso, Season 3, Episode 8. I am Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Heck yeah, but more importantly, we are joined by the one and only Justin Robert Young!
Yeah! Man,
Get
my
on in
throat
here.
is sore from yelling on a balcony.
In Succession.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay,
Reference
all right,
to
I
the
think
show.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah. Don't let us forget to give Justin his Scorpion gift at the end of the show. Let's talk about Succession, Season 4, Episode 7. No kidding, Brian. Eileen and I weren't able to watch this at the same time this week. So I got home. I was like, I'm going to go watch Succession. And Eileen said, never get me a Scorpion as a gift. You'll understand shortly.
Yeah, there are two different types of Succession episodes in my experience. There are some that maybe not a lot happens, but I'm just soaking in the moment, and I love those. There are other times that it's unpleasant, but I can look back and I'll think, wow, we really advanced plots A, B, C, D, and E. This one, I started watching last night, and I thought maybe I'm just tired. I'm going to call it a night. And then I woke up early and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch Succession, give it my full attention. I'm not entirely clear how much we bought outside of everybody is fighting more now. And it was
Tom and Shiv fell apart. That's new. They were bringing them back together. They fell it, then they tore it back apart.
So it was, it was both unpleasant to watch and didn't seem to advance anything, which I did not enjoy.
Really?
Okay. That's
I not enjoying it. I totally buy it. It certainly advanced.
That's
their
your
plot,
right as an American.
Except for the trade-off of what it would take to drop out of the presidential race the night before the election and what you could get and the judgment of all the different countries. That was the shining jewel of Oman of this episode.
Yeah, the pearl of
the rich man's Yemen.
Well, no, yeah, the rich man's Yemen. Oh, yeah, the pearl of Arabia or something like that. I cannot disagree with you more. I think that we got the key plot point of this season in this episode, and that is the fact that, unbeknownst to everyone, what seems like a quixotic quest for power to fit into Daddy's shoes that Kendall has pushed for control of the company, that he actually found gold. It might have been a blind truffle pig, but he definitely found some mushrooms. And that was the fact that Gojo has inflated some of their key metrics. This is the kind of stuff that you guys would cover on Cordkillers. If all of a sudden Netflix reported that, oh, by the way, they have 2 India's worth of numbers and only half of the actual customers, that would be a gigantic reckoning on their stock. I thought that was a very clever way to show instability. And then, of course, all the cloak and dagger element of, all right, so it looks like now the Roys have the dagger. One Roy is planning on cutting the other 2 out. The one Roy has already betrayed the other 2, and the other one is just kind of hoping that Jerry doesn't stay mad at him.
You know what? I hereby rescind 27% of my criticism, because you're right. That was substantial. That did alter leverage, but at the same time, because I think it was Kendall who found out about the India thing, but also he was the one that chased off. Was it Nate? Who's like, "Hey man, you're not Logan Roy," and so But then also Kendall clearly says, "I intend to cut out his little brother."
Roman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that was to demonstrate the fact that he wants to kill this deal. He wants to be the CEO of Waystar Royco. He wants to merge with Pierce and do the deal that his dad could never do.
He also now wants to buy Gojo.
He wants to buy Gojo, which was the idea initially. So now, like, that was the pitch at the very end. The question then becomes, And Succession is not normally the kind of show that does this kind of chicanery. When you see a thing, you can normally trust a thing to happen or be the case. But could the Gojo people be leading the little breadcrumbs for the Roys when it comes to not only
To overplay
the
their hand.
well, it comes to the relationship with the PR person and the CEO, which is obviously toxic.
Was that
We've
all a
heard.
setup to get them to bite on this?
Everyone certainly seemed very happy to be telling the Roys stories that could capsize this deal, and they know damn well could capsize this deal. Is it just because the CEO is a megalomaniac who was high as hell because he was just piping on that weed pen with cousin Greg, or is this 4D chess? Succession is not the kind of show that will ever have a character look into the camera and say, "Are we being had next week?" But I do think that it is at least a possibility in play.
And I'm sure I'm just not I'm not picking up on enough patterns or something, but I found the rapprochement of Shiv and Tom over the last couple of episodes to be interesting, and the way they fell apart to be surprising. So I also disagree that was not a major revelation, because Shiv is now left without an ally. She burned Matson. She burned Tom. She knows, and she's been knowing for a long time, that Kendall and Roman are not on her side. And a desperate Shiv is a dangerous Shiv. So that feels significant to me going forward, too.
The quietest part that struck me the loudest is Greg making himself a place as the Hatchet Man and trying to craft himself as
Oh, yeah, with the Zoom call, and then
Yeah.
later on saying,
and positioning himself with Matson, that it's like, yeah, I don't know, you just read some paper and then you close the laptop. I don't get it. What's so hard about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad, but not that bad.
I think there's also a few things that are just kind of hanging over all of this. And the reason why I would say that while the Tom and Shiv fight, again, just cut and send it to the Emmys.
Sure.
That both of them are going to win Emmys, and this plot line is going to be the reason why scenes like this are going to be in the reel. We still have the question of when she is going to reveal to Tom, presumably the father of her unborn baby, or is he? Right? We don't know. There was that moment of tension during that fight when they start yelling at each other about DNA and who should be a mother and who shouldn't be, that you wonder when that piece of data is going to tumble out. But also, what I think we are seeing as this season starts to bloom is the idea that all of our characters, our main siblings, are trying to experience some level of what they either wanted from or took from their relationship with their father, with Shiv being obviously the only woman, the one for whom a family and dedication to a marriage, dedication to a child is going to be something that will continue to be a big part about it. And considering how Succession has gone, I don't necessarily expect a happy ending.
This also was an episode of relationships. In the post show interview, they compared it to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which may be a little heavy handed given the cocktail party atmosphere of it. But it was very much about Tom and Shiv's relationship, a little bit about Roman and Jerry's relationship. Definitely, we got an aspect of Kendall and his ex-wife's relationship, and a chance for him to rebond there. He just blew away. It's a small scene, but it's an interesting scene in light of all of these relationships. You even got a little bit of Matt's and Ebba's relationship, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
Just real quick, Bryce, can you bring that shot back up? Did you guys notice the strategic placing of Kendall's ex-wife's head in the logo for the coffee shop, Birch?
I mean, is that a real company?
if you watch it back, her head, whenever they are
Covers
shooting
the
her
R.
dead on, is covering the R.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh.
I would not be surprised by that. Also in the chat,
From Kendall's perspective.
Certainly so.
Cliff Singer brings up in the chat that Greg, he definitely fires everybody and then definitely ends the call and definitely says the word nice. And at the moment, I noticed the exact same thing that Cliff Singer in the chat noticed, which is which one happened in which order? Is he on record as saying nice just as he closes the Zoom call?
Yeah, probably. That's probably scuttlebutt, which could work to his advantage to people like Mattson, I would think.
Yeah, I look, this is one of those shows where I just like watching it unfold. Like, I don't even really like thinking about it beyond just saying, wow, this is well crafted, this dialogue is so well done, this acting, again, just next level. Like, I think The Wire was the last time, I was having this conversation yesterday, was the last time that I remember just a cast that was like just dramatically like boom, 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 top to bottom. I just want to see everybody interact with each other at some point because they're all so great.
The Wire is a great parallel because also in The Wire, they speak the way we speak in real life, in half sentences, in a pastiche, in sort of an impressionistic manner where we imply things, but we don't actually say things, but it's clear. I double down. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter.
And also a lot of buzzwords and jargon for industries that I am not in. That's another thing I feel like I really appreciate. Like, I want to hear as much about long tail multimedia international expansion as I want to hear about Red Caps and the drug trade in Baltimore. I just want details passionately read by classically trained actors.
I cannot agree with you more, so I won't try. Anything else on Succession?
Did you guys watch the next week preview? We're doing the election next week.
I did not.
We're doing the election next week.
It's
election time.
This was before the election, the tailgate party. Next week's the election. Yeah.
Wait, somebody actually asked me, do we know for sure? So Connor's running third party, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I don't see how it could be the general election and him not being.
Yeah.
But
also,
because he's a write-in.
even
Yeah, because it's the election. It's not the New York primary.
Yeah, but he's on the ballot, right? Because they said, okay, yeah, obviously it's not enough time for you to get off the ballot, but
it's got to be a libertarian third party thing, right? Because and this is extrapolating. I don't know what the world of Succession looks like, but in our world, only the Libertarian Party is on all 50 states.
Well, is the Green Party too?
Nope.
Yeah, well, but it could easily have been the Green Party, it not be on all 50 states, and he could be, but he's not a Green Party candidate.
Here's what he's already won: the election of the healthiest relationship on the show.
Right.
Right. When I went through the relationships, I forgot him and Willa. Yeah, totally.
What a heartwarming moment as he stands up to his family and says they handle it with grace and a smile. Roman's temper tantrum, and he just says, I have one person who believes in me, and it's her. And it's like, oh, like, well, who knew Succession had the schmaltz?
Also, great moment in that shot. It's obvious, but seeing Mattson in the back go, like pointing to himself, thinking it was him being the one person. But it was like super out of focus. It was good.
All right, that is Succession season 4 episode 7. Justin Robert Young, thank you so much for hanging out to talk Succession with us. It was a super blast.
A pleasure, boys. Please continue to trudge through the world of television. You are soldiers of fortune, and it is us who breaks in the green.
Indeed. And go listen to World's Greatest Con, the voice of Brian, the production of Justin Robert Young. It's a marriage made in
know
heaven.
a little more too. Listen and know a little more. Know a little more. Know a little more too. I produce podcasts.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too. Yeah.
I do it, man. I'll do it for you too. I'll do it for all of you.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Get out of here, Justin Robbie. Take your dog and pony show somewhere else. All right, let's talk about Silo, season 1, episode 2. This is a series based on the books by Hugh Howey, the first book called Wool. And in the first episode, we get to see the wool. I am a fan of the books, so with that in mind, I watched that first episode and thought, all right, this is a strong depiction of that book. Texted Bryce and Brian, and Bryce, you texted me back that you disagreed with that assessment.
Yeah, kind of a lot. I started off really liking this, and by the end of that second episode, I've resigned myself to hate watching this for the program.
Okay, so you agreed with me on the first episode, which is when I said there was the strong start, but it was by the end of the second episode it had flip-flopped your opinion.
I was shaky on that first episode, but I was pushing through. I mean, I was shocked to the idea of like, who is it? Rashida Jones. Like, she's the first name in those opening credits, and I spent that whole first episode going, they can't kill her. She's the first. Isn't she starring in this? And then she disappears in the next one. So that was a fun little twist. But
she's in the episode, just laying down outside.
Well, Brian, how did you feel about the editing and the jumping of time perspective?
I've grown accustomed to it. It used to be a time where, first of all, when I was younger, I would read books and I would be very confused. And it was only from the context of various chapters that I would realize, oh, this is before, this is after, or whatever. And I was always like, why do books do that? Why don't they make it easier for me to know where I am? Why are they constantly disjointing me or whatever? And then television started to do the same thing. We saw it in Firefly. We saw it in another version of it in various Marvel movies where we're Battlestar Galactica did the same thing, 3 different color palettes to depict different times. And then at some point, they dropped color palettes and saturation levels, and they just didn't tell you where we were at any time. I'm looking at you, Westworld. And in this case, here's what I do know. I know that episode 1, and keep in mind, I only casually listened to the book Wool, the first. I didn't know it was even a series. I only heard the first one, but it was a fairly transparent conceit. The only part I remembered of it. The opening of episode 1 was so good that Bonnie and I sat down to watch Ted Lasso, and I hit play on this instead. And within 10 minutes, she was fully engaged. Like, that is a very, very strong opening. I thought all of episode 1 was quite good. Episode 2, I will absolutely grant to you, Bryce, just wastes the last 15 minutes. I don't know why they tried to squeeze an hour out of what they had there. There was nothing in the last 15 minutes.
I was hoping that at the end of the second episode, I'd be like, okay, I watched like at least a movie's worth of like an okay story, and I ended up feeling like I got part of Act 1 of this, which is fine, but it all felt off. Tom, does this like track with the book very well?
It does.
Oh.
I question giving us 1 and 2 together. I almost feel like you either give us 1, 2, and 3 together, or give us 2 and 3 together.
Oh.
But I felt like episode 2 doesn't do justice to where the story is going to go. Because I also agree that episode 1 felt very strong. And it's a lot to ask of a viewer to get emotionally invested into 2 people and then kill them. And they basically start over in episode 2 saying, okay, we made you care about those 2 people. Now let's make you care about a third person we didn't even talk about much in the first episode. And I didn't think they executed on that very well.
That was confusing to say the least. Unpolished.
I suspect I didn't keep saying season. I suspect episode 3 will kind of redeem some of that and get us back into the flow, but it was a hard move.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we can't know until we get to episode 3. But I do know that I think all 3 of us will turn the key on. Boy, that episode 2 way longer than it appeared to need to be.
At least 20 minutes, if not 50.
Right?
If not, yeah.
Shockingly longer than it needed to be. I would have rathered episode 1 be an 80-minute episode.
I watched episode 1. I was like, this is great. I was ready to go to 2. It was a little late, so we decided to put it off. Then I watched episode 2, and I was like, you guys, like, this is, I mean, all we needed to know from episode 2 is the story of the sheriff telling Juliet about stuff, Juliet knowing what was in the underground, and then we are on to episode 3. Like, am I missing something there?
Not really, no.
I will confess that the end of episode 2 was so tedious. Once she got on the rope, I started hitting that 10-second skip button.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept hitting it until she got to the bottom of the rope. Did anything happen during that?
No, she got into the water, I think.
Bunch of drills and
no,
stuff?
she was amazingly able to climb the rope without too many rope burns. That was the tension.
Is this supposed to be a mystery show? I know that it's a science fiction show, and I know that there's some.
It's a
suspense,
post-apocalyptic show. Yeah,
What-
and
wait.
there's a suspense element.
I just
but
feel
yeah,
like
there's a mystery to it. Yeah.
Okay, because they're hiding a lot of
why
stuff
are
in a
they
very
there?
artificial way.
Yeah.
So Bryce, I'm in the fortunate position of being between you and Tom. I assume Tom remembers the story. I barely remember the story. I remember as I read the book, the first book, I was like, oh my God, when are they going to reveal that obviously they're not showing the true world on the outside? I was very grateful that about 30 minutes into episode 1, they're all like, what if that's not the world? I was like, yes, thank you. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Then now we're at kind of a new nexus as we finish episode 2, where I'm still intrigued because I don't know if, yes, I no longer believe the window. I don't any longer believe the hazmat suits that they wear. I think.
Oh yeah, those have a poison gas or something.
Correct.
in them, right?
But I don't know if there's a 4D chess thing happening of this is much like the Matrix, where it's like, yeah, every 100 years we get some people suspicious, and so you're the one. Congrats, and now we kill you, and we're done.
Yeah.
The mystery is, why does it look different? Why did Holston decide to actually go outside? We really didn't get.
And also, why is she mad
reason.
and calling him a liar? So I assume there's some moment where he makes a pinky swear.
Well, no, she calls him a liar because he said he would come back. That's why she calls him a liar.
Oh, I thought it was because of his behavior once he got to the outside.
It's a pretty weak, because you expect like, oh, he's a liar. What did he tell her? And then at the end, again,
he just never
you're
came
forgiven
back.
for missing this because you had to pay attention at the end. But they make it clear that he had said, I will bring this back to you. I will come back to you with an answer once I find it. And that's why she says, you're a liar, because he died outside.
I will shower praise on the design choices. Everything feels both comfortable to all the characters and yet also wildly claustrophobic. It reminds me of the way the Belters were represented in The Expanse.
Oh, yeah.
Where
there's a lot of
it's
similarities.
almost
That's a
as
good
though
point.
there's a blue sky, but not really.
Yeah. No, the mystery is, who is judicial? Why is there a separate, faction over the mayor? Who are they? What's their deal? Why was the truth, why was it walled off after the revolt? Why is there that secret area, and why are they trying to hide all the artifacts? What are they trying to hide? Why did some people see blue skies outside and yet still die? Those are the main questions at this point in the story.
There's also,
and why are they there? How did they even get down there in the first place? I guess that's the other.
I'm certain a lot of this was in the book, but I really like the way visually they represented, small town. Like, they don't call it the emperor, they call it the mayor, and they don't call it the Lord Judiciary or whatever of controlling the police. They say the sheriff, and they look like small town folk, and it is a small town. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot I like about it. Bryce, can you elaborate on what kind of drove you nuts?
It felt like it was the thing that it was teasing me, the things that it was withholding from me, were all of the things that would make this an interesting story. And especially because that second episode feels like there's a lot of filler. It feels like, oh, we're spending a lot of time on this, on what that big pronouncement that the older lady gives at one point.
The mayor.
Yeah, where we have to Dr. Seuss in the big grain silo we all live in to watch her say this. I guess I think I had a little bit in my head a voice saying like, this is about as good as the Fallout show is going to be. Probably not. Probably better than that show can be. Just because
it's there was latent preemptory disappointment for the upcoming Fallout show.
Well, I guess it was partly that, and I don't know. I wanted a good science fiction show, not one that felt kind of cheap and something like it should have been a movie.
Didn't feel.
I
cheap
would
to
put
me.
all my money on episode 3.
Okay.
To win or go bust for you.
Okay.
If I'm right, a large majority of these questions that you're having and concerns you're having should be reconciled in episode 3, barring bad pacing, which I don't feel was a problem of the story. It was a problem of maybe not wanting to give away the things they're going to tell you in episode 3 that are going to lead you, towards new and better mysteries.
Yeah.
But I'm also, given what I saw in episode 2, not guaranteed. So it's possible episode 3 disappoints me too. But I'm hoping it doesn't.
Yeah. I would like it to be good.
I mean, so I'll log my vote as more optimistic than Bryce is.
Okay.
less optimistic than Tom probably is.
Sure.
Okay.
That's fair. All right. That is Silo, episodes 1 and 2. Sticking with Apple TV, let's talk about Ted Lasso season 3, episode 8.
Yeah.
Wow. Is this show bad now?
Okay.
Because
it's not a bad show. Last episode we were loving this show, Bryce. It's not a bad show.
But Bryce is right.
This is
mathematically speaking, there has to be one least good episode of the show.
And we thought it was episode 6, and now it might be episode 8.
I mean,
what are we doing?
what is this?
What are we doing?
I
love Keeley, but what are we friggin' doing?
I was legit. I kid you not, Bryce. I tried to start watching it, and then I saw 50 minutes, and then I hit stop.
They've all been 50 minutes.
Oh no, they've been.
New.
I know.
They've been a little longer,
but they don't normally feel longer than 50
I think it was maybe because of the Schoolhouse Rock episode we needed to have in the middle. The 2 Schoolhouse Rock episodes that we needed to have. The first one on why keeping naked photos is bad for the extended remix.
But also, they're not, whenever you do that, it's not the fault of whatever carrier is providing your network. I mean,
it was this weird habit of like, I don't know. That just seems weird. But then the Hey Jude thing was like even crazier. That doesn't, like, this is beyond cartoonish. This is.
No, let's.
Tom, is this
Hey Jude with your son? All right, then tell me. Tell me.
Let's address the Apple part of it, because this was a direct analog to the so-called fappening. They even give it a different name in there, and they have really weird mixed messaging. Now, up until this season, I thought that Apple has been pretty good about being hands-off about the number of Apple products or other products. This whole season, like, my kids are complaining to me about how the FaceTime doesn't look the way people actually use FaceTime. And I was like, well, you do know this is an Apple TV Plus original.
Also, outside of Apple TV Plus, they do video calls that don't look like any actual. That's just TV production. I don't think that has anything to do with Apple.
Correct. But I had to
tell that to your children.
But they do a lot of FaceTiming in here and referencing specifically FaceTime.
They do a lot of FaceTiming in a lot of shows. But go ahead, carry on.
Correct.
They even like joke about They have a FaceTime specific joke, like, I want to make some FaceTime with you, but not
I'd rather have time with your face than
which
more
I also
FaceTime.
hear on other shows. This is a lot of like, I've decided because it's an Apple show to hold every Apple thing against it. as well.
no,
I'm hearing something.
I think Brian's got more.
It's ramping up, man. Like
Sure.
if somewhere somebody is going to plot on the Reddit subreddit of data is beautiful, the number of Apple placements that happens,
And then somebody else is going to take a non-Apple show and show they had more. Okay, get to the good stuff.
Yeah, hit the heavier parts here.
It appears as though this was a morality play on how you should or should not use Apple devices. And
Mobile
I
devices.
don't know when it comes to intimate photos, when it comes to blame about whether you should blame the hacker or blame the one thing they did not blame, the provider during all of this. They blamed the user and they blamed the hackers and nobody else. And it made me uncomfortable how transparent that was. I did not like, Apple is famous for not paying for product placement, but it looks like this is eroding my trust in that reputation.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Although I don't know if that is specific to Apple still, right? Like there should, where I 100% agree with you, Brian, is a real conversation about this would have people blaming the device, would have people saying like, well, why doesn't my phone maker do something about this? And we never got that perspective. And that's a real perspective that is always there in these stories. So I'm with you there. On the other hand, I don't think the tale they told was very much like, and Apple's better. It was more like, let's just avoid the device ever being responsible, whether it was Apple, Samsung, or anybody else. So it was that kind of omission led to this other thing versus any kind of positive, like, and it's never the device's fault, it's always your fault. Because I actually thought that the bit with Jamie about picking password with 2 S's was kind of funny.
I mean, it's so weird because it makes like for a decent story setup, right? Like everyone's mad at Keely. Keely blows up her relationship because everyone's asking her to apologize, and then Jamie apologizes to her because guess what? It wasn't the phone.
And that's all
it was
real
email.
Stuff that happens.
And I like that. Like I think there's a good play off of that of like actually what she wanted was an apology from someone who wronged her, which is. She's in a very lucky position, right? She knows the person who did it, and it was a mistake. But it's a cute ending.
I honestly, no, she doesn't. The person who wronged her is the hacker.
Yes, you're right.
Jamie, and I
but
did
she got
like
an
how they
apology
handled
that
the personal aspect of this, which is like, it is the people who attack that are the problem. But there are things you can do to keep them from being able to attack, and you should do them. So I like the fact that they divvied up that responsibility. I think they did conveniently leave out the third responsible party in this. And I'm with Brian on that.
Tom, did you hate this episode as much as Bryce and I appeared to have?
No, but I don't usually hate episodes as much as you guys. So I don't think that's much of a, that's sort of par for the course. Yeah. I didn't love it. It was kind of all over the place.
Things we got, I guess Nate got, what's her name to call her?
Jade.
Jade called him a boyfriend.
Nate and Jade was kind of cute. I liked it. It was all right. It's nice to see Nate humanized.
And we saw Nate where like that storyline makes it feel like, oh, we should feel good about Nate. But even then we see him text Rupert like, oh yes, please get him out. Which like
where I think that is going is Jade has been attracted to Nate when he's real. When he's Nate. Jade has always been against Nate when he's trying to play the part of a bigwig, right? From the very first time we met Jade, when he tries to throw his weight around and say, hey, I'm a big time soccer guy, I'm the wonder kid. And she's like, yeah, I don't care. When he's vulnerable and real, she's like, you know what? I actually kind of like you. So I think that's headed towards that collision of like, well, who are you? Are you the guy that sucks up to Rupert and pretends you're something that you aren't? Or are you Nate?
Yes. Outside of that, I did not perceive a lot of advancements of any plot lines whatsoever outside of the morality play about how you could either blame the user or the hacker, but you must not blame the device.
But Ted had the thing with his son.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up too. Is like the sort of the weird like, I want to hire a private detective. Oh, I guess I won't because Hey Jude. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I liked the aspect of he should trust his ex and not get involved. I didn't like any of the way they told it. And I did think it was interesting that they left it with the unspoken idea that maybe she's, realizing she still has feelings for Ted.
Yeah.
It kind of stinks that all of these characters' resolutions end up being like, oh, just I don't know, fall in love with somebody. And I mean, I get that, like, we kind of put the soccer on the back burner this week because Jamie's doing great and they got a few days off or whatever. But it just seems weird that, like, that's what a lot of
Who's
Keely's
the happy on your own character here? I thought it was going to be Keely, and then they gave her Jack.
It's not Keely. It's not Rebecca. It's not Ted.
Because Rebecca's unhappy on her own.
It's not exactly Roy or Jamie.
Roy's not happy.
Maybe Ted's
Jamie's
kid.
a little bit, but yeah. We'll say that again, Brian.
Ted's kid.
Ted's kid, yeah. Or Wilkins, what's his name?
Higgins.
But he's got
Higgins.
a wife. He's got a family.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's kind of a bummer. It just seems weird that, like,
maybe Roy seemed the most self-actualized in that he was able to walk up to Keely.
He's
and
upset
say,
about Keely.
He wants Keely
He was
back.
nervous. He was all awkward with her.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just
Remember, he made that mistake of saying,
you know what?
kind of asking like it was her fault.
Is it Colin? There was that was a pretty cool okay moment when the team captain said everybody delete your pictures, and then Colin hesitated, and then there was just kind of a look and just
Right. And then the captain came over and saw what's on his phone.
Yeah.
And we don't know where that went.
Yeah. I don't know. That was an okay moment, but in general, look, not saying it's bad, just saying there's got to be one that's the least good of the whole show.
even that little, like, breadcrumb of, like, we're gonna do this with the gay character. Like, I know you've been telling us this for like 4 episodes. When are you gonna? They're not building up to a big explosion.
It's in the it was in a preview I saw for next.
I guess also we got we did get Trent Krim joining the Diamond Dogs, which, as I say it, makes me realize that maybe there's a shark and maybe somebody wants to leap over or something.
I don't know if it's big enough to leap over, but
I mean, come on.
Picking up what you're throwing.
That may be, if there is a moment, that is my current bet as to what it is.
That's your current pick, yeah. All right, folks. Well, that is Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 8. Next week, we will be talking about Succession, Season 4, Episode 8. We will be talking about Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 9. And we will be talking about Silo, Season 1, Episode 3. If I'm reading this right, that's the finale of Succession?
What? 8 episodes? No.
No.
That can't be right.
No.
Okay.
More like failure session.
No, there's 2 more. This is wrong.
Yeah, there's 10 episodes.
Okay.
There will be 2.
Thank goodness.
You can't read right.
No,
What is his
I
voice?
read bad.
Oh.
Okay, so that is not the season finale of Succession, Season 4, Episode 8, because there are also 9 and 10. All right, that is it for us. Thank you, everybody who supports this show. If you want our thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy, you get After Talk. It is available to the patrons at patreon.com/Cordkillers. That also gets you these episodes a little earlier of Spoilerin time. So go check it out. And it only costs $1, maybe $2. If you want, if you just want to give yourself your own inflation-related raise, patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.